Okay, so what we're going to do now is set up the forearm bounce. Do shift middle mouse button to bring this into focus. Now this lesson is going to get quite technical. Actually, you're going to find yourself reloading the file multiple times because you want to make sure that the deforms happening in this area of the forearm are set up correctly with the correct weight values. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to do is go ahead and click on this bone, press the shift key down, click on this one, and do shift control C and just do copy transforms. Now you already know that when you rotate the forearm and when it comes to the elbow joint, the forearm can only rotate around its x-axis, right? So if you press the R key and press the X key 2 times, this is how the forearm can only rotate around its x-axis. So when we bring the touch bones into play, we will simply mark the forearm touch bone to use XYZ Euler and lock the Y and Z rotation and only let the user rotate around the x-axis, right? Meaning that the touch bone in the case of the forearm bone is a good candidate to set it up as XYZ Euler, okay? But here for now, if you want to simulate that, you can just press the R key and press the X key 2 times to see how that would work, okay? So this bone over here is basically all set up. Now here is where it's going to get interesting, okay? So what we want to do is basically do the same setup that we did on the deltoid. Here what we want to do is tell this bone to use a damped track to copy or point to where the forearm, the tracker L bone is at all times. So having this tracker bone selected, press the shift key down, click on this bone and do shift control C and just do damped track. Over here you'll see that it's just set up correctly by default. Now what we need to do is basically tell this bone to rotate when the hand rotates, right? You can cross-reference your own body to understand this idea. So here what we have to do is first click here, right? You can see that over here it says dev.hand.l. I'm just going to click it again until you get to m.hand.fk.l. Now press the shift key down and click on this bone, do shift control C, and of course here we're just going to do copy rotation. Now here the bone is going to twist like this, right? So first we need to bring up the rotation and then do damp track. Now here of course we have to do local space. Now before we do this, we need to understand why is it that we need to select a local space over here. Go ahead and turn this off. Go ahead and press the period key on your numpad, zoom in a little bit, and do the middle mouse button to rotate. So here I want you to think about what exactly is going on over here, right? Here you can see that this bone's y-axis is aligned to the hand bone's y-axis, right? Remember, we're copying the rotation from the m.hand.fk.l. But here, if you want to see the axis, just click over here to get to the dev.hand.l. This of course has to do with how bones overlap and how Blender chooses to display the axis. Because we want to highlight this axis in white, we can just simply click on the dev.hand.l to see this. Anyways, the point here is that this bone's y-axis is pointing in the same direction as this bone, okay? Now notice that where the z and x are pointing, if you compare it to this bone, right? They're basically pointing in their own directions. So this means when it comes to this bone, we of course have to make this local space and local space because we're really interested in the rotation around the y-axis from the hand bone. Now over here, go ahead and turn this off, right? Now here you can see that we want the z and x too, right? Now why is that? Well, first of all, you will see that if you go ahead and select m.hand.fk.l and press the R key and press the Y key 2 times. When we rotate the hand around the Y axis, that forearm bone is also going to rotate. Right click to cancel. Now when you press the R key and press the X key 2 times to rotate the hand bone around the X, right, that forearm bone is not going to rotate, even though we're saying that we want it. Now the reason it's not going to rotate is because of damp track. Damp track is forcing the bone to always point to our tracker bone, so it will never get the X rotation if this bone rotates around its local X or local Z, right? So this is how this works. Now notice this. If we do not rotate this bone right around its local X, meaning that just do global Y, if you do R and Y, we'll see that the forearm bone is actually going to rotate a little bit, and that's correct, right? If you press the 1 key, see, it rotates a little bit, right? So that's fine. This is because this is how it would work in real life anyways, right? Just rotate your hand in a relaxed way, quickly, not slowly. You'll see that this part of the forearm rotates a little bit, okay? So anyways, go ahead and click this, and over here we of course don't want all the rotations, so here we're just going to type in 0.750. Okay, now go ahead and click on the m.hand.fk.l and go ahead and zoom out, press the R key, press the Y key 2 times, and go ahead and rotate the hand. Now you want to make sure that when you rotate the hand, you kind of basically point it towards you, right? Or align this bone to this bigger bone over here, right? Now remember, when you press the R key, press the Y key, you have to use logic here. Of course, you cannot rotate the hand like this and twist our forearm, because we cannot do that in real life. And if we also do Alt R to reset the rotation, now press the R key, press the Y key 2 times, we of course cannot rotate it this way, right? That's not possible. So here we have to use logic here when we're posing the figure, and when it comes to the hand, right? How much should we be able to twist the hand? So here you can just cross-reference your own body and analyze it, okay? So anyways, this whole thing is set up. So what I want you to do now is go ahead and go to the data tab and only make sure that the deform bone layer is selected, the non-deform bone. Now go ahead and press the R key and press the Y key 2 times and rotate so the palm points towards you. Basically align this bone to this bone, right? See how they're both aligning in the same way over here? Just going to adjust this. Now notice that when the hand rotates, this part of the forearm is twisting, right? Now of course, what we have to do now is adjust the deforms so this shows up correctly. So to do this, what you want to do is go ahead and make sure that you turn this back on so you can select the figure. Okay, now go ahead and click on the figure. Remember, the hand has to be the palm of the hand has to be pointed towards you for you to now do this next step. Now here, what I want you to do is go under File, do Save As, and save this as Rigging Lesson 04 i.blend. Now this is where you're going to be reloading the file multiple times, because this is a little tricky to do. What we have to do is basically first press the Tab key to go into edit mode, and here you can see that the vertices are basically twisting or moving more with the forearm bone that is over here, right? Meaning, what I'm saying to you is that if you go back to object mode, click on this bone over here, go to the data tab, press the shift key down, click over here. We're talking about this bone over here. If you click over here and switch to edit mode, you can see that these vertices are basically moving more with this bone over here, right? So what we want to do is tell these vertices to not twist that much, right? When the hand is twisting, basically give us a better deform. So to do this, we would have to press the Alt key down and right click on this edge to select all these vertices. Now, of course, we have to get a idea of what's going on with the weights. So we have to take an inventory, a visual inventory to what's going on with these weight values. So here I want you to just go ahead and press the Shift key on, deselect and select this vertex over here, and just click over here to select one of the vertex groups. Now over here you might have to expand this so you can see the .L, right? So here you can see that if you click this, this is the lower .L, and over here this is the upper .L. Okay, so go ahead and click this to go to lower .L. Now make sure that over here what you want to do is actually go ahead and go down over here and do show weights. Okay, now when you do show weights, you want to make sure that under options this is set to active. This will give you an idea visually when you're taking an inventory of the weight values, what exactly is going on with these vertices. So over here, if we click over here and select the vertex group forearm.lower.L, having these vertices selected, do the middle mouse button, you can see that all these vertices are part of this vertex group, correct? Now if you click over here and highlight the forearm.upper.L vertex group, you can see that these are blue, and all of them should be blue, right? And this is why. So here we can see that the dev.forearm.upper.L has less influence than this one, right? This has higher influence. So all we have to do is really just use the levels tool to basically change the weight values of all the vertices that have to do with this higher vertex weight value group over here, which is forearm.lower.L. So to do this, remember we're in edit mode, so you can actually turn this off so you can see what's going on. What you want to do is go under tools, and here we're just going to do levels. Make sure that this is active group, because this is what we're interested in. And here what you want to do is, now you have to visually look over here and visually look over here and visually look over here. You're going to go ahead and press the Shift key down and click over here. Now if I go to move my mouse to the right, you can see that I'm taking the weight values all the way to 1. See over here? So nothing's going to happen. So here I'm going to press the Shift key down and now start to take these down. What you will see is that these vertices will start to move. So of course you want to basically move them in such a way so they end up halfway over here, so they're not twisted by that much. So here I'm just going to do it kind of like this over here for now. Okay, now let's move on to this ring. Go ahead and press the Alt key down, click over here. Of course you have to do show weights, and here if we go ahead and press the Shift key and deselect and select and just click over here, you can see that all these vertices are part of this vertex group, right? Now over here we know that if we click over here and do the middle mouse button, in my case it's all black, so this means that we can't actually get any movement on these vertices because they're only part of this one vertex group. So this means that we have to add this vertex group to these vertices to make any of this work, right? So here I'm just going to go ahead and actually turn off show weights because I've got a visual inventory of this. Now here I'm just going to do like half a value over here and just do assign, and it's fine. It doesn't matter what it does over here. Here what you want to do is normalize, okay, this value here only for this vertex to get an idea of what's going on. Okay, so here what we want to do is basically click on levels again. Over here you can just type in 0 and enter. Okay, now press the Shift key down and take a look at, okay, how do you want to move this? Okay, so again I'm clicking on this dev forearm vertex group to adjust this. Now here I can switch between these, right? And then of course you have to click on levels again, click on 0 over here, press the Shift key down and just start adjusting it until you get the values that you're looking for. Okay, now press the Tab key. Now here you can see that we're getting better results over here. Okay, Now what we're going to do is basically take a look at each vertex now. Now you can click on each vertex and of course just adjust the values. Always have to visually look over here, right? Just adjust it, click on normalize, and just play around with some of these values until you are satisfied. But you don't want to overdo this basically, right? Just do it enough so you can start to get the deform the way you want it to happen. Okay, so that's all settled over here. I think I might even click over here and just play around with some of these numbers over here and see how this is working out. Okay, so this is good over here. Now click over here, make sure that only this is selected. Click to Alt R to reset the rotation. Now here what you want to do is just press the R key, and here I'm going to go ahead and click this and press the tab key. So here you can see that now we can click over here and take a look at some of these values and actually maybe bring this out a bit over here. Okay, I'm going to click over here, look at the highest value and see what I can do over here. Bring this down. Of course you can click on normalize on any time. I think I'm going to click over here and let's take a look at what we can do. So we're going to bring this down. You can of course press the shift key down and increase this a little bit more to adjust some of these values. Okay, so of course this is a bit time consuming, but this is how these fine-tune adjustments are going to be done in this area over here. I'm going to click over here and see, move this a little bit over here. That's it. And remember, you don't want to overdo this. That's it over here in this case. I'm going to click over here, do Alt R to reset the rotation. And of course, press the R key, press the Y key 2 times. And here I'm just going to test this out a bit more, right? Just see, how do I want this to twist? So in my case, this looks pretty good. I might actually click over here, click some of these values and just bring them down just a bit more. Okay, so like in this case, in this vertex, I'm seeing that it only has depth.forearm.L, right? Now you have to think about that bone, right? How this bone is going to draw an imaginary line to the head of that bone. So here, if you want to adjust this, what you want to do is, let's say, click over here and have the value and just do assign. Then you can come in here and start moving these vertices a bit, right? You have to play around with these numbers and at all times always check that it's giving you the results that you want. Look over here. Anyways, you can do this all day and keep reloading the file until you get the hang of this area, right? Okay, so I'm satisfied with this. I'm going to do Alt R to reset the rotation, okay, and press the R key 2 times just to make sure that, okay, this is working correctly. Press the 7 key and always make sure that this is working over here, right? Just rotate it a few times. Anyways, this is set up. So here I'm going to actually go under File, do Save As, but save this as rigging lesson 04 j.blend. Now the reason you want to do this is because we saved it where we could load it from the iSave, right? So meaning that you can just reload it again if you want to try again. Here I'm satisfied with this, so I'm just going to save this as rigging lesson 04 j.blend. Anyway, I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.